Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Harry Shaw, who will fight on Cage Warriors 190 June 27th. Hello, Harry. How are you?
How's it going, mate? You okay?
I'm good. And in just a few days, you will fight for the third time in the Cage Warriors.
Mm.
So, if you can tell me, how do you feel just a moment before the fight, and what do you think about your next opponent?
How do I feel? Yeah, no, I'm all good, mate. Yeah, just sort of all the hard work's been done now. So, prep real hard with the training. Training's been great. Um, yeah, so generally just feeling fine. Obviously, just cutting a bit of weight at the moment, which is never the best fun, but we're all good. And then Josh Abraham. Yeah, he's been around. So, but he's good. He's class. He's good all round. And yeah, very much looking forward to getting in the cage with him and having it out. So yeah, it'll be a good one for sure.
I think actually he's a quite solid opponent because he finished all of his wins. So he, of course, is a dangerous fighter, but also he was never knocked out. And I think that it can be a chance for you because we like know you as a very good striker. So maybe
Mm.
it will be a very good moment to finish him by punches.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, obviously it's always on the cards, isn't it? So um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the fight. I'm never really one to sort of say, "Oh yeah, this will happen. I'm going to KO him. I'm going to sub him. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." It's fights play out. Sometimes you can have sort of like the best game plan, and then the game plan just doesn't work, goes completely out the window, sort of thing. So you've got to be able to adapt in there. Yeah, so we will see what happens on Friday night.
And about your weight, how much do you cut?
I'm not like a massive featherweight. Um, I'm not a tiny one either. So, I'll probably walk back in there, I don't know, 73, 74 kilos, something like that. So, um, yeah, yeah, I'm not massive.
But in the end, probably it's like the really, really bad feeling in like a few days before the fight when you have to be focused and not only about on your opponent, but also like doing something like this. So cutting weight.
Yeah. The weight is sort of, everyone sort of says it's sort of like, the fight before the fight, isn't it? But I like the weight cut because it really gets me in the right headspace to fight because it is hard. It's like you're sitting there in sort of like a hot bath, sweating it out whilst you're already dehydrated, low calories, all this sort of stuff. And it's for me, I like what the weight cut does for me mentally. It gets me ready to fight. If I'm sort of going in there and I haven't cut any weight or all that sort of stuff, you're a bit too happy. The weight cut, to be honest, it makes you miserable, and I think you need a little bit of misery and a little bit of like, when you're going in there. So yeah, I like the weight cut for that reason.
And in your first Cage Warriors fight, you put on the show. You defeated a really good fighter. It was a very exciting fight. And after
Mm.
this, you lost your second bout. So after your last fight, did you change anything in your training camp, in your preparation to be better in this fight?
Yeah, definitely. It just that last fight, just for me, it just solidified. For me, it solidified my game for me. Um, you know, it gave me a good understanding of what I need to do more of. Um, I learned so much from that fight, honestly, and I'm really looking forward to putting it into putting all the lessons that I learned from it into this next fight. Um, I won't say like too much on it. I want to be sort of like fairly vague with it, just in case sort of Josh is watching and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to go like into too much detail. But yeah, it's been that fight was a blessing. Um, I've been trying out an awful lot of the the bits and pieces I learned from it in sparring, and yeah, man, it's working a dream. So that fight was a blessing for sure.
But also it can be like a quite interesting moment for you because in your last fight you lost, then you made some changes, and then you are waiting just to show it in your next fight. So it's probably a little bit like anticipation to show the world, and of course you, that you are capable of defeating like a veteran of the sport.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And that's fighting. You know, you just, okay, you win, great, best feeling in the world. You lose, worst feeling in the world. But you learn from it. You go back to the drawing board. You correct mistakes. You then, put them all into practice and everything in your next fight. And if they work, it's like sweet. If they don't, what went wrong? And it's just a constant learning process. And that's the fun of fighting. You get to someone might expose some of your weaknesses and your holes and all that sort of stuff. So me personally, like I love the martial arts element of fighting and training. It's like, okay, where are you bad? Where are you good? With your things that you're not too great on, it's good to go with people that are like way better than you at those sorts of areas, see what they catch you with, and then sort of problem solve. And I love the training aspect of fighting. And then I've always thought, like, if you train a lot and you're getting good and all that sort of stuff, it's like, test yourself. Put yourself in a cage and see if you can actually use properly what you're learning in your training. And that's what the journey is for me. It's just a constant process of just getting better and then seeing where it takes you in the next thing. And I started out sort of like my AMI career like this. um yeah, started out my AMI career, and then I remember sort of like getting good on the AMI scene, and then going off to the IMAFs, and then I then lost the fight there, and I was like, oh, how did he beat me? Oh, he did this, and we went back, we worked on it, we took it into like the next one, and all this sort of stuff. And so, yeah, I love the process and everything. So I'm looking forward to putting into practice what we've learned from the last one. Yeah.
And about your beginnings in the sport, how old were you when you knew that you want to be like a pro MMA fighter?
Uh, Probably around sort of 22 is when I was like, yeah, I want to sort of go pro. Because when I first sort of did it, like, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have any sort of aspirations to go professional in the sport. I just enjoyed training, and I got encouraged to compete by a coach because I was getting quite good. He was like, you should compete. And then I got to sort of competing. Um, and then, yeah, I remember sort of like early on, like especially in my AMI career, I was just knocking everyone out, and yeah, it just felt great. So I was like, oh, I'm going to keep doing this. And then you start to sort of like seek new challenges. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, all right. Well, initially I started this not even wanting to compete. Now I'm really enjoying competing. Okay, well, now there's this IMAF sort of competition. Let me give that a crack. All that sort of thing. I was like, how good actually am I? And then you then sort of apply for the IMAF team, you get picked. And then uh, sort of after that, I was then struggling to get amateur matchups. And so I was like, I want a new challenge. Let's go pro. And at that point, that was when I really started to want to go pro. It was probably sort of like 2019, I'd say, and I was around about 22, 23 there. Um, yeah, so yeah, and then went pro, wanted the challenge. Yeah, just on this journey now. So
So we are definitely in a very good place for the challenges, because Cage Warriors, of course, they can give you some of the best the best fighters that UK has to offer.
yeah, definitely, and Cage Wars is a good proving ground for sure. I mean, there's sort of like the caliber of competition that's come through Cage Warriors over the years is crazy. There's so many guys that have fought in Cage Warriors and gone on to the UFC. So many, and so it's like you're in there with a mix of all of them lot. You're good at what you do if you're there. You know, so it's cool.
And do you consider going to the UFC as the like main goal for you for your career, or would you be also interested to maybe take some other kind of challenges, like maybe PFL, maybe like one?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm not like hell bent on the UFC, but after we'll see what happens with all Cage Warriors and all that sort of stuff. See what opportunities come from there. Honestly, man, I'm just taking it sort of like one fight at a time. If after that, if PFL were like, yeah, we'd love to have you, I'd be like, yeah, definitely. Um, one championship, wicked. UFC, yeah, great. It's just I'm taking it one fight at a time though. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm just focused. Yeah, like I said, I'm just focusing on one fight at a time. I don't think you can look too far into the future, but yeah. It's one fight at a time, one win at a time, and see what opportunities come up.
And right now, do you train in one gym or do you like cross your training in a few gyms?
I do the vast majority of trading at GB Top Team. So yeah, one of the athletes at a GB Top Team, and then I do a little bit over back in Maidenhead where I work. So I teach Thai boxing, kickboxing, that sort of stuff, like a PT. And under the gym there is sort of the gym where I've always trained out of. And so I'll do all of like my striking and stuff. I'll still do there, and then some of my jiu-jitsu I'll still do there as well, because we run some jiu-jitsu classes out there as well. So yeah, so it's so like the vast majority of it is over at GB, but then a little bit more of it is split over in Maidenhead as well.
And in GB, do you have like regular sparring partners that like fighters that you really like to train and spar for, especially for this fight?
Yeah, there's that's the thing at GB. It's just like the caliber of athletes on the mat is second to none. Um, if you've got, it doesn't honestly like there's so many good guys to train with, and there's so many guys that can give you similar looks to whoever you're fighting. Whether they're tall, short, pressure fighters, wrestlers, back foot fighters, anything that you've got everyone there that could emulate anything. So you can prep so well for any fight for any person there. Yeah, it's wicked.
And it's probably great to of course there are a lot of approaches to the game, but when you have this one big gym, there is like a very good advantage that you have all this kind of bodies that you can like pick the fighter who is similar to your next opponent and not move from one gym to another, because of course it's like it's not wasting a time, but you're spending a lot of times a lot of time just moving around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like super convenient having everyone all in one spot. Yeah, like I said, yeah, just like the caliber of people there as well, all in one spot, and you can pick who's best suited to you and your opponent. So yeah, mate, it's quality.
And do you also like to watch UFC shows, especially the big pay-per-views?
I love to watch them, yeah, because like I said, like at the beginning, like I love martial arts. I've always just been like a huge fan of martial arts. That's why I got into trade in the first place. Like I always loved all like the fight scenes in films. Always loved just watching the UFC when it was on TV, even though it was on sort of like quite rare. But every now and again, you might find it on Channel 5. Like this was, I don't know, probably about 10, 15 years ago. And yeah, so I've always been a fan of martial arts. I love watching it in competition. I watch jiu-jitsu, I watch MMA, I watch kickboxing, I watch Muay Thai, I watch all of it. So I just love I love martial arts, you know. Yeah, so I'll watch everything.
So what do you think about the main event of the next UFC, Ilia against Charles?
Yeah, oh, mate, that's a sick fight, isn't it? That's a class fight. I think I'd back Topuria. Um, I think he'll get it. I think he'll get it done. But that's a really good fight. That's like a proper. You've got two guys of like the highest caliber going at it. But I do think Topuria is going to catch him because Charles he will he will put his chin in the mix for sure, and he does get hit. And I think if you're getting hit by Topuria, there's not many people that have sort of come back from that. And I think his jiu-jitsu is good enough to deal with Charles's. So yeah, man, that's a great fight.
Yes, and Ilya got this kind of thing like Connor. He was he's like super confident. He is predicting the future. So it's like always like super captivating for the viewer. And of course, Charles got this kind of story that he lost some fights at the beginning, and then he like moved on to this kind of crazy run, become a champion. So it's like a little bit like Michael Bisping, who also was like few times really close to being a champion, and then he became a champion. So I think that it will be like a super interesting fight, but also both stories are like quite interesting just for the viewer.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, 100% agree with you. Yeah, it'd be a good one. Can't wait for it.
And one more question, because it will also happen soon. Dustin Poirier against Max Holloway. Free.
Well, Holloway looked good last time he went to lightweight, didn't he? So, um, I know sort of what's his name, Poirier, sort of beat him up a good bit in the second fight, didn't he? So, be an interesting one. I think that's a really hard one to pick, to be honest. I think it's a really hard one to pick. When is it?
Some day, I believe that is end of July, something around it.
End of July. Yeah, that's a scrap and a half. That I'd love to watch that. So, but yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to call on that. I don't know what to call if Max sort of puts on a good bit of weight and stays sort of elusive as he did with Gaethje, then he's got a good chance of winning. But yeah, but Poirier, he absolutely bangs and he's just always up for a fight and has got mad cardio. So I mean, they both got mad cardio. They both got good hands. Um, Good
It's
scrap.
like the coin flip.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip. It'll be a pick 'em, that's for sure.
Okay, Harry. So many thanks for the time and for conversation. I'm thinking that your next fight will be a quite good one, but with your style, I think that it's like it will be interesting to see whether you are able to finish him or just win by decision. But you of course have this kind of style that you are like always looking for the finish.
Sure, mate. Yeah. A good one, mate. So stay tuned.